Hey everybody, welcome to Reels, Riffs, and Rants. I'm Christina Urias, and today we are joined by Gonzalo Mendez. How you doing?
Great.
Good to have you.
Thank you.
So, I know you're here to tell us a couple things about your job and creating awareness for the community. So tell us how you got started with your career and where you're from. Give us a little backstory.
I'm basically from this neighborhood. I grew up in Shelltown, about a mile away from here or so, and spent my whole life here and love it.
Yeah.
I think it's if you grew up in a Mexican neighborhood, you realize that there's no other place that has the fresh tortillas and the pan dulce.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a little bit about myself. I'm one of 5 kids. My parents immigrated here from Mexico. Grew up in a pretty normal, hardworking family. But interestingly enough, as we got older, 15, 16, I had an older brother who ended up getting busted and getting in the criminal justice system, as many kids around here did. It was a gang-infested neighborhood in the late 80s, and a lot of crime, a lot of gangs, and a lot of violence. And he chose a path. I chose a different path. I chose education. I chose playing soccer. Kept me out of trouble. And
what was the age difference between you two?
he was only a year and a half older than I was.
Oh wow, okay.
So he got in trouble and ended up going to state prison and getting involved with all that prison politics, things of that nature. And
how old were you when this happened?
I was probably 16,
Oh, okay.
17. So he was in prison, and he told me, he goes, "Hey brother, can you get me out of jail, go to college, become an attorney, and write your own, get all the homies out, right?" So I'm like, wow, that sounds like a great idea. So I was in college. I was accepted into San Diego State, and I was probably a sophomore at San Diego State, and I took an internship at a law office. And shortly thereafter, the attorney got raided by the FBI and got arrested for fraud. And
What?
I was like, okay, maybe I don't want to be an attorney. So during my education, I learned about, my criminal justice classes. That was my major. I learned about probation and parole, and I figured out, wow, probation, that means before prison. My brother, I remember him having a probation officer. Never saw the probation officer. He was never there, assisting him or trying to help him. And so I skipped the law degree, and I said, I want to try this probation thing. So at 19 years old, I was a volunteer in probation. I applied and was accepted, and I did that for a couple of years, paid, non-paid.
Oh, that's awesome.
I thought it was the greatest job on earth. They would give me a list of kids to go see in the hood, and I was comfortable in the hood. So I was like, sure, I'll go see these kids.
Did you know any of these kids?
I really didn't, but I was always in in some pretty bad areas, and the gangbangers would be like, "Hey, what are you doing here?" I'm like, "Hey man, I'm just trying to interview people for food stamps." Okay, yeah, you can go through the hallway and get to where you need to.
Yeah.
And so that's where I started working with kids, and I realized that a lot of these kids just needed mentors, and they needed direction, and they lacked those mentors and the direction at home. And so I said, wow, this is a great, I couldn't believe people got paid for that. And so
that's so great. I mean, you at 19 to realize that's very mature at that age, to kind of want to help the youth. And I mean, because they're really not that much older or younger than you.
They weren't. We were probably a couple of years apart in some instances, but.
And how did they react to you coming and helping them and talking to them?
I felt like they reacted me as like a mentor, someone they can respect, because at that point I was in college and I had graduated high school, and I mean, a lot of their goals were just simply graduate high school.
Yeah.
And here I was in college and was learning about the criminal justice system.
And basically you kind of grew up in the same community they did, and to see, someone like you going through college, and trying to excel in life. I mean, that's a good kind of role model to have.
Yeah, and there was far and few of those role models in our community, right? So, once I graduated from college, I applied for probation. The county took about a year to get hired, but at that time I was working at a restaurant and making good money on tips and living at the beach, and I was like, this is cool too. I don't really need a job. And one day they called me in 1995 and they said, "Do you want to start?" And I really hesitated. I was like, wow.
How soon from when you applied to?
Probably a year or so.
Oh, that's not bad. Wow.
It turned out that in that year, 1995, the county had a hiring freeze, and I was one of maybe a handful of people that got hired that year. And my first assignment was Rancho del Campo, which is about an hour away from San Diego.
Okay.
We didn't have smartphones back then. We had a thing called the Thomas Guide, and they said, your shift starts at 6 in the morning, and I figured I was going to take at least an hour to get there, so I left my house around 4:30 in the morning, driving in the dark in January, dark roads. Finally make it to Campo, and I get there, and that's where I spent my first 2 years working with youth. I had we had about 450 youth that were sentenced to Rancho del Campo.
And where is that?
It's in Campo, California. It's about an hour east of San Diego.
East, okay.
And that was a great learning experience. You had to learn how to talk to kids and deal with kids, and
what were the age ranges?
Anywhere between, I would say 12 to 13 to 17. And we really would just the camp, when you got sentenced to Campo, it was kind of like you could do either, in some cases you did 30 days and you're out, or you did 9 months. It depended on how well you did in the program, what type of program you did. But it was a great experience. I really enjoyed working with youth. I started a running program while I was there.
That's great.
And took kids out to do races in the community, and it was great. And so, in 1997, I got promoted, and I was all excited.
And so, did you had to commute every single day?
So that's a great question.
Yeah.
I forgot about the pain.
Yeah.
So I still remember my first day at Campo. I go up there, and they, you sit in the supervisor's office, and they had an administrative supervisor giving us a tour, and we started touring, and he was showing us where we were going to stay. They had staff housing there.
Okay.
Because our shifts were a 15-hour days.
Oh, geez.
So I started at 6 in the morning. I was off at 9 at night, and you do that 2 days, and then your last day is only 12 hours, right? So, yeah, you stayed there. You pretty much worked day and night there. But I remember my first day.
It's like you're a camp counselor, kind of.
Yeah, basically, yeah. And I remember my first day when they said, "Hey, Gonzalo, your housing is going to be in this housing unit." And I remember them showing the first room, and they said, "Hey," another coworker said, "You get this room, and Gonzalo, you're in the back." And in my mind, it's like, hey, they always have the big room in the back. It was back left, and there was a kitchen, and they put a mattress on the floor. So that was my initial stay in Campo. So it wasn't always.
And everyone else had like a
regular room, but I was the last one hired, low seniority.
Yeah.
But just it really humbles you, right, to really want to do something for your community.
Yeah.
And so I spent a couple of years there, and then I got promoted to what people now know as a casework PO. Did that for a while. I was always an innovator.
Yeah.
And so I had a young son at the time. He was 2 years old. His name was Mateo, and these kids were on probation. I say kids, they were adults. I worked in an adult caseload.
And so now you're back in San Diego?
Yep,
okay.
in North Park. I worked in North Park,
okay.
And I had these, I did this job for a year, and just learning the basics, report writing, things of that nature. And I got this epiphany about, wow, how are these kids 18, 19 years old and they have kids?
Yeah.
And anyway, so I started a program called Men and Their Children. So I was a probation officer that had 50 young men in my caseload, anywhere between 18 and 24.
Uh-huh.
The common denominator was that they all had children.
Okay, and what was the program called?
Men and Their Children.
Oh, that's
So that was
great.
a caseload. So I came up with that caseload. I came up with the idea, and really was trying to focus on families and how do you make kids at that age responsible, and how do you make them productive, and then how do you get them have a relationship with their kids.
Yeah.
Most of them didn't know they had legal rights. I also became a certified parenting instructor to help the probationers kind of deal with their kids who are having behavior issues. And so that program was really successful. I really believed in getting people jobs or in school or doing something that was positive. And my caseload had about 90% of the people in jobs or in school or both.
Oh, wow.
And I really saw that when they felt good about themselves, they felt good about their children, they performed better on probation.
Good.
So yeah, it was great.
That's really cool.
Yeah, in 1998, I think I was nominated an award at the Probation Officer of the Year.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. And did you keep in contact with any of these people?
You know what? Years later, I tell funny stories. You don't know where you're going to see people. I was walking down the street, and there was a guy with a hard hat, and he was working, like kind of like what the Caltrans people do. They're working in, paving roads. It was like I don't know if it was a city job or whatever. And this guy says, "Hey, Officer Mendez," and I look, and I'm like, see this kid, and I remember who he was. And he goes, man, I've been out of probation for 5 years. I've been working with this company. Thank you for helping me. So
that's great.
In probation, you never hear the good news, right? You always hear that someone was revoked, sent to prison, got killed, whatever. Rarely do we hear that we do a great job, but I bet you there was a lot of lives that were changed.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and then having that kind of parenting, I mean, that program back in the day, I mean, there was a lot of young kids having kids.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, I am sure you made a huge impact on the community.
Yeah, it wasn't just me. I collaborated with a group here in Southeast San Diego called the Institute for Family Revitalization.
Okay.
And it was a guy I met, and he had a grant to help kids become men.
Oh, wow.
I ran into him, I don't know how, maybe God had a message.
Yeah.
And I said, why don't we work together? I have the guys that have kids. You have, your job is to help these guys.
Yeah.
And this was all in Southeast San Diego, help these guys become men.
Yeah.
And so we built a strong partnership, and that's kind of like opened up my eyes to what we do is not about us or not about me, it's about community and giving people hope. And hope is a strong motivator for people if you can actually give them something that's attainable. So another key strategy that worked well was connecting people to construction apprentice programs, where they would get assessed and they would get jobs and they would get education. So whatever they were assessed, say you were an electrician, when you were finished, while you were getting training, you were getting paid.
Yeah.
And you had to do some classwork. And then when you finished your hours, 2 or 3 years, whatever that trade took, you'd become a journeyman electrician. And I remember a specific kid who was a gang member, and as soon as he got into the electrician, he became, I call him the electrical gang, right? Now he's hanging out with all the cool electricians, and guess what happens? New peers. He's bought a big truck. He's now bought his own house.
That's amazing.
You start changing their peers. You start changing their goals, and then you start seeing success.
Yeah, because you're like, man, if you can do it, I can do it. And it's just like having that attitude of encouraging, the people around you.
Yeah. So that was, obviously that was, great. In our department, when we got promoted, we got sent back to juvenile hall. And so I got promoted, got sent back to juvenile hall. I actually had never worked there.
Oh.
And it was different in that the kids were not in an open setting, they were in enclosed, but I always believe, get the kids tired.
Yeah.
Let's go outside and do rap. Let's go out and do
soccer,
something. Tired kid is a good kid.
Yeah.
But
did you prefer working in juvenile hall or what?
I liked Campo because it was an open setting. It was basically, you can leave if you want to, but the coyotes might get you, the border patrol might get you, you might get killed by a mountain lion, go for it, bit by a rattlesnake.
Yeah.
And so we were out there in the middle of basically nowhere, and people did leave and they would come back sometimes like, I'm just kidding, this is not bad,
Yeah.
So,
I mean, in the end, you guys are really just trying to make their lives better.
Exactly, and so that was one of the things that we focused on. So moving back to juvenile hall as getting promoted to like a senior probation officer, that was working nights, weekends, working shift work, and then during that period I got promoted to supervisor. So I really enjoyed being the watch commander. You had a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
So wherever I went, I was able to hopefully make a difference.
Yeah.
And so when I finally left institutions, I went back to casework, back to North Park, Ohio Street office, and during that time, so let me go back. So my brother was killed by a drunk driver in July 4th of 2000. My uncle was killed around July about 2004, 2005. I can't remember exactly the date, but I do remember my aunt, meeting with my aunt and seeing how devastated the family was and how the judicial system wasn't really doing anything for them. Mm-hmm. The guy that killed my uncle got only 4 years in prison.
Wow.
And that was a travesty. The guy was on probation for a misdemeanor DUI.
Oh, wow.
And that really rattled me. And I said, man, we can do something different. So in 2006, I just finished graduate school and had an idea of, or not an idea, but in grad school, you do a lot of research. And I ended up finding out that there was an opportunity for a grant by the California Office of Traffic Safety to supervise the worst of the worst DUI offenders, right? Mm-hmm. And so I approached them. I said, why don't we give it to probation? I have a caseload of about 500 people that have felony DUIs. And I'm not talking one time, not talking 2 times, not talking even 3 times. You need 4 to be on this
felony list? Wow.
Yeah, so we had 500, but we only had one probation officer. So we applied for a grant, and we ended up getting the grant for $1 million.
Wow, that's
And
awesome.
so we started a DUI unit, and so I was the supervisor of that unit. And so the unit was probably about 5 or 6 of us, and we worked non-traditional hours. We did things differently, and I tell people I was mad. I was like, if we have to do something about these people.
Well, you have a reason, you have an incentive.
Yeah.
You had this family tragedy happen, and
Yeah.
you don't want it to happen to other families.
Exactly. So putting the program together, and we would, one of the conditions of probation is to totally abstain from the use of alcohol.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you can be at a .08. It means zero. And so at that time, we ended up going to people's houses and doing breathalyzers, and
Oh wow! Just like wow.
just random. They would get.
And you have to be at the felony point.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. And so they give up their Fourth Amendment right to search and seizure. So we'd go out there with the team, and we would arrest a lot of people. People said, "Oh, you're shooting fish in a barrel." Well, we were, but we were also making a difference, because what we were doing is once they were arrested and violated, then that's when the real probation worked, right? Because up until that point, they would show that they were doing well based on reports that they were going to their meetings or whatever. But the reality is
They were still drinking?
still drinking, and and so I would go to their house, and I remember arresting people for a .02, which was like a 1 beer.
Yeah.
And I said, well, you're going to jail, because if I leave you here and you continue to drink and you go out and run somebody over, I'm going to be liable for that. So, but that really opened up an opportunity for treatment and an intervention, and really trying to get into their issues and find out what type of help they needed, right?
Yeah.
Do they needed more intensive care, less care? So, but during that time, which will lead to where my current position is, I was asked to see of a bracelet called CAM device, continuous alcohol monitoring bracelet. And this bracelet measures alcohol through your sweat on your ankle. It's kind of like a breathalyzer.
Wow.
For your mouth, but on your ankle.
Yeah.
So this was brand new technology.
And when did they roll this out?
Probably 2008 or so.
Okay.
I was asked to pilot a device called the continuous alcohol monitoring device. And this is a device you put around their ankle, and if someone drinks, it measures alcohol through their sweat. If they put something to try to block it, there's sensors that let us know if someone's trying to tamper with it. And if someone takes it off, we'll know if there's no body heat, that we'll know that someone removed it,
Yeah.
right? So in my opinion, no one's ever beat it. It's 100%.
So you guys didn't have to go on those house calls anymore?
Right. You got to actually go to an outpatient program and really address these issues. But what I saw was how the dynamic in the family changed. If you grow up with an alcoholic father or someone who has substance abuse issues, it's not going to be good for your family.
No, absolutely.
And so when I went to the houses and I saw how disconnected the families were, because he was drinking or she was drinking, and now that they're sober, I see how happy the family was.
Yeah.
So when I showed up as probation, I didn't get people slamming their door on my face and saying, "Get out of here." They're like, "Oh," and they would be like, "Oh, you're here to check on him." Yeah, I'm here to
that's
check
great.
on him. And I would always speak in Spanish for my Spanish speaker. "Hey, how's he doing?" "Oh, he's doing so well. He's, now he's involved with his children. He hasn't missed work." So to me, it wasn't about, I caught you.
Yeah.
To me, it was about, could you make changes in your life? Could you not harm other people in our community? Can you be a better person
for your family?
Right.
Yeah.
And so our program won a state award, and I ran it for 6 years, and just last week I met with their supervisor, and it's still running. They're still getting a grant.
That's
so
great.
I like building programs that build legacies, right?
Yeah.
So that's so now take me to today, and I'll go back to more career stuff, but now I work for Scram Systems. We're one of the largest electronic monitoring companies in the country. We also do alcohol monitoring. We have a drug patch. And why that's important is because I still get to use my expertise in using the products for the probation population, and talking to people like that work in my industry that had no idea what I did or how I did it. So I just give them everyone the playbook.
And so with the patches now and the company you work with now, it's not more so like a probation. You work.
So we have contracts. We're in 50 states and 8 countries, believe it or not. But I work mostly here in California, and so my job is really to make sure that they have training, they understand the technology, they know how to implement the technology, and especially in the holiday season, we see an increase in drinking, we see an increase in drunk driving, and so we want to make sure that everyone that needs to be monitored is monitored.
Yeah.
And twofold, right? We want to first keep our kids safe, our community safe, and second, we want someone to continue their sobriety so they can be successful with whatever they do. So anyways, that was 2008, I did that to 2012, and then I got promoted to Director of Special Operations, which was kind of a funny thing because now I was in charge of every gang member in the county, technically, right? I had a whole division, and coming back into the hood here, that was also fun, and like, meeting people and talking to people, and so everything that's happened to my life has really something personal happened that I've actually made it like was part of my work. You know what I mean?
That's quite remarkable because I feel like this one tragedy. It's a very tragic. You had your brother and your uncle, and then you just created it into this success story, and it's all because of what happened. And some people, might go the other direction.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention my cousin Augustine's wife was killed by a drunk driver too in 2006, and so being affected by something that's 100% preventable is just it's maddening, right? So I got promoted to Director of Special Operations, and that was actually kind of fun because we worked at, people think, oh, gang members are so bad. Yes, they could do bad things, but they're just people too. Yeah. Give them opportunity. Yeah. Give them, eliminate their barriers to success, and you'll see how great they can be. So that I've always been a very positive person. I continue to be positive because I've witnessed people change.
Imagine how many people you've helped throughout your career.
I don't even know.
That's amazing.
But so it was a great career. I do have to digress a little bit because you just reminded me. So in 2000, I started grad school, and I got a master's degree in criminal justice and criminology. But people don't know it took me 6 years because I'm kind of slow. Just
no,
kidding.
You're not.
But during that time, I had finished all my coursework, and I was like, man, I got to write this thesis. My program didn't allow you to take a test and be done. You had to write a thesis, and I could not think of a good topic. And then it just hit me. I was in charge of a sex offender unit, and I ended up doing a research on sex offender supervision to see if people recidivated while they're on supervision or not. And so I followed 115 sex offenders for 3 years.
Oh, wow.
Only 3% committed new crimes under our supervision, right? Because we use a model called the containment model. But just another example of how things happened in my life. Like I was in college. Now I got this idea for this sex offender supervision.
And then, so how do you? Obviously, there's no patch or any ankle monitor. Like, how is the monitoring?
Well, there's a lot of trade secrets I'm not going to tell you, but we will say that the containment model involves a victim advocate. It involves polygraph, so people are polygraphed every 3 months, 6 months.
And is it random?
No, everything's scheduled, and they have to be in treatment.
Okay.
So they're monitored very closely, but there's successful treatment modalities for some, not all. And we don't say we cure them. We're just trying to contain them, not to recidivate and get new victims out there. But the funny story was that I had small nieces, and I was like trying to learn about how to protect them. Yeah. So that was just another example how I used what's going on in my life to make sure that can could do it for the community. But and then I believe in 2020 I got promoted to deputy chief, which was an honor because I was in charge of about 300 or so officers, and we had a big command, and it was great because at that executive leadership position you can make bigger changes. You can try to do better for the community, and all I tried to do was the same thing I did as a casework. But how do I do it
on a bigger scale?
On a bigger scale. So I stopped having fun. I couldn't go out and arrest people and search and do all the fun things. I had to do a lot more planning and work with my colleagues and work with the board of supervisors and get budgets approved and things of that nature. Yeah.
That's awesome. That sounds like a great career. And I feel like, given the holidays, Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year's is a big one, for drunk drivers. You just got to be aware and make right decisions. So
we'll say that my days working with gangs and all that things, I've continued. I'm on the board for Community Rap, which is you can look at it, communityrap.org.
Yeah.
And what I do there is I provide kind of some executive leadership mentoring as part of the board of directors. But really our program is really evidence-based, and it's really about mentoring youth that are
And it is
gang
local?
involved. Yeah, we're in different schools here in San Diego. We have different contracts.
And if a kid wanted to join this group, how would he go about it?
Well, we have a website, Community Rap.
Community Rap, okay.
And we're always, we're in different schools, and we have different support groups. Our CEO is Robert Ontiveros. He's a friend of mine. He brought me on about 6 months ago. But it's a way to give back, right?
Yeah.
We're still realizing that you can provide treatment up front, but if you don't follow up,
Yeah.
you don't give the kids anything to look forward
Yeah.
to. It's not just about the initial treatment. It's about building a community that's believes in doing better.
Yeah, and supporting them
And
throughout
supporting them and being
their.
there when they need that support, right?
Yeah.
So that's very important to me.
That's great. I think you're doing a phenomenal job for you, for the community, for every kid out there wanting to aspire to get into, this job that you have and help, it's incredible.
Yeah, you got to have a passion for what you do. I don't care what your job is. If it's sweeping streets or making amazing movies like yourself.
If you weren't doing the job that you were doing, what would you be doing? Or if you could do anything else?
You know what? I don't know. I mean, I've already worked 30 years, 35 years.
Yeah.
I mean, work is great, but really try to stay connected to family and friends, because two things that I tell people we can't compromise, that's time and health.
Yeah.
I got to make sure that I take care of myself, because an empty well gives no water. How am I going to lead others if I'm, so I look back and, especially this time of year, like take a time, take a break, go on a walk, do something for yourself, because you're going to get caught up with all the things that are really not that important and are going to stress you out, and you're going to make, it's just not good. So I actually...
I know you're like one of the most active people I know. This guy does yoga. He's a cycler,
Yeah.
soccer player,
Yep, snowboarding.
snowboarding.
I try to play golf once in a while.
Oh yeah, once in a while.
So yeah, stay busy and
Yeah.
and give back. If you can, give back and try to be there for others.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, Gonzo. I hope you inspire others with your story.
I hope so, and I can always be reached through Christina has my contact. I'm always willing to share my knowledge and my experience with others to help them reach their fullest potential.
Yeah, and on our YouTube channel, we'll put where you can sign up and get more information on some of the programs he has provided. Thank you for joining us on Reels, Riffs, and Rants.